Welcome to Azure Services Deep Dive from Data Analytics Actuary. Each episode, we break down one Azure service completely, what it does, what problems it actually solves, and how it connects to everything else. Today, we're entering the databases category and starting with the service that brings SQL Server to the cloud, Azure SQL Database. Before we zoom in, let's set the context. Microsoft Azure runs on more than 200 services across 60-plus regions worldwide. What makes Azure powerful isn't any single service. It's how everything connects. Compute talks to storage, networking integrates with security, and analytics layers over everything. For data professionals and actuaries, Azure is the operational backbone that turns your models and insights into production-grade systems, ones that scale, stay available, and comply with regulatory requirements. Today's service lives in Azure's databases category, the layer that manages your structured and semi-structured data. Within databases, you have relational engines like SQL Database and PostgreSQL, globally distributed NoSQL with Cosmos DB, managed MySQL and MariaDB, plus specialized services like Cache for Redis and Data Explorer. Azure SQL Database is the flagship relational option in this family, a fully managed SQL Server engine with built-in intelligence. If you understand SQL Database, the rest of Azure's database layer makes sense. Azure SQL Database, a fully managed relational database engine based on the latest stable version of SQL Server. It offers serverless and provisioned compute tiers, built-in AI-powered auto-tuning, geo-replication for global reads, and elastic pools for multi-tenant cost sharing, all without managing OS or engine patches. You choose between DTU and vCore purchasing models, and Azure handles everything from backup to high availability. Let's go deeper. Azure SQL Database gives you a fully isolated database engine without the overhead of managing an entire SQL Server instance. There are two purchasing models. The DTU model bundles CPU, memory, and I/O into a single unit, simple to reason about but less granular. The vCore model lets you independently choose compute and storage, giving you precise control over performance and cost. The serverless tier is a game-changer for development environments. It auto-pauses compute after an idle period and resumes automatically on the next connection, so you pay nothing while it sits idle. For large workloads, the hyperscale tier scales to 100 terabytes with near-instant database snapshots and up to 4 RAID replicas. Elastic pools let you share resources across many databases, perfect for SaaS platforms where tenant workloads are bursty and unpredictable. Built-in intelligent insights uses machine learning to detect performance regressions, recommend missing indexes, and automatically tune query plans. Transparent data encryption, always encrypted, and SQL auditing are enabled by default or a single toggle. Now, the critical problems Azure SQL Database actually solves, because this is where it gets practical. Problem 1. Actuarial data warehousing. Reserving models need sub-second queries over 50 terabytes of triangulated loss data. The hyperscale tier with column store indexes and read scale out delivers parallel analytics. Query times drop from minutes to seconds with no infrastructure management. Problem 2. Multi-tenant SaaS platform. Hundreds of tenant databases have unpredictable, bursty workloads. Elastic pools share EDTUs across tenants. Each tenant can burst individually, but you pay collectively. The result: 60% cost reduction versus provisioning each database independently. Problem 3. Regulatory compliance. Financial data must be encrypted at rest and auditable for SOX compliance. Built-in TDE, always encrypted, and SQL auditing stream to log analytics for an audit-ready posture out of the box with zero application changes. Problem 4. Cost-optimized dev and test. Developer databases sit idle 80% of the day, wasting budget. The serverless tier auto-pauses after an idle period, billing only for active compute seconds, delivering up to 90% savings on non-production environments. Azure SQL Database integrates with key Azure services. Azure Data Factory orchestrates ETL and ELT pipelines that load and transform data in SQL Database at scale. Azure Synapse Analytics queries SQL Database tables alongside data lake files using Synapse Link. No data movement required. Azure Active Directory centralizes authentication with AAD principles and managed identities. No connection string secrets to rotate. Power BI connects via direct query or import mode for real-time dashboards over your SQL data. Azure Monitor collects diagnostics, sets metric alerts, and streams logs to log analytics for deep troubleshooting. And Azure Key Vault stores and rotates TDE protectors, connection strings, and always encrypted keys. Now the honest trade-offs. There are no cross-database queries. Each database is fully isolated. If you need cross-database joins, you'll need Elastic Queries or Synapse as a workaround. Instance-scoped features like SQL Agent, Service Broker, and linked servers are not available. For those, you need SQL Managed Instance, which we'll cover later in this series. The serverless tiers autopause introduces a cold start delay of up to 60 seconds on the first connection after idle. Not ideal for latency-sensitive applications. The hyperscale tier does not yet support geo-replication to non-hyperscale targets. And the DTU model bundles CPU, memory, and I/O together. You cannot scale each dimension independently. To bring it all together, Azure SQL Database is the fully managed SQL Server engine with built-in intelligence, auto-tuning, threat detection, and automatic backups, so you focus on schema and queries, not infrastructure. For data professionals and actuaries, it's the go-to choice for transactional workloads, SaaS multi-tenancy, and analytical queries that need the power of SQL Server without the operational burden. The trade-off is scope. You get a managed database, not a managed instance. 4 full instance-scoped features. Azure SQL Managed Instance is the answer. That was Azure SQL Database. If you found this useful, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. There's a full series covering every major Azure service. Next up is Azure Cosmos DB, Microsoft's globally distributed, multi-model NoSQL database with single-digit millisecond latency at any scale. I'll see you in the next one.